had a chance to set up a little bit, so I can take a little bit of water from my microfiber cloth and I can smooth out some of those areas that are bothersome to me. There's that little hole that I poked with my pin tool right to the inside of the cavity, so that as that clay shrinks, as it dries, there's a place for the air to get out, right? You can heal that up later on if you cut the lid off. So I'm gonna do a little bit of smoothing, shaping now that it's set up. It's not leather hard yet. It's still moldable. It'll still take my thumbprint, but it's more unified in its thickness. So I'll take off, there's a little bit of the texture from my fabric. Okay. Now, what do I want to make from this? So if I want to make a pumpkin, okay, this pumpkin here is a little bit more squat. Has a bit more of a flat bottom than I would have liked. This pumpkin is sort of more round. It has a nice round bottom, the way a pumpkin naturally would. So you can shape this. I'm going to make this one into a gourd. So it's sort of a banana, like a pear shape. So there is a little bit of a hole there for the air to get out as I squeeze it. But I'm going to, now that it's stiffened up a little bit, I can shape this. Giving it a bit of a pinch, a bit of a shape to whatever sort of shape that I want. Okay, you with me? So gourds also have that little indentation that the pumpkins have in the top where the stem goes. So I will do a little bit of a indentation there where I'll put the stem. And then I'm going to make some of those grooves in the side. Okay, so basically this is your throwing tool, this is your wooden knife that you have in your kit. It's perfect for making these grooves in the side of the pumpkin because it's not sharp, it's nice and round, and it has a little bit of a thickness to it. So I can press that into the clay, top to bottom, like that, right from the bottom, right to the top. Make those little grooves, indentations. Okay. I'm pressing hard enough that I'm making an indentation bottom to top. Now those edges are a little bit sharp right here, so I'm just going to pinch them a little bit on their edges to make them a little bit more round. Okay. Now now you can see right here we're getting a little bit of a crack. So I might have sealed my hole a little bit. So I'll make that hole a little bit bigger. If you do get a crack, you just fill it in, a little bit of water from your finger, and kind of fill it in and smooth and shape as you go. Okay, so I'll do that. I'm going to have it sit a little bit sideways like that, so I'll give it a little bit of a flat spot there to sit on. And then I'll need a little bit of clay for a stem. So I'm going to roll out a stem, tapered little coil. Gourds have sort of long, skinny, curly stems. So before I put it on, I'm going to put some texture into it. So you can do this with any tool that you want. There's some tools that have a little bit of, can you see what I'm doing there? Yes. I'm just using my tool to put some lines in this, some little grooves. Not very well, but get the idea. And then there's a flat spot on one end that I can attach to that spot there, but I will give this a little bit of a twist. Like that. And then I'll attach it on there. So in order to attach it, I don't have a scoring tool, so I'm going to use my pin tool to make some X's. Some Darvon water. There, Darvon water there. Oh, that was too much. And then join, jiggle. Okay, so now I've got my stem attached to my gourd. I'm going to have it kind of come down a little bit like that and touch the edge like that. I'm going to use my paintbrush to compress that joint a little bit because it's not quite joined on there. So I'll use my paintbrush to kind of compress that joint. You can put a coil around there if you want, but now I'm going to let that gel for a little bit before I touch it again, right? And I've got a gourd, right? So before I put it into the kiln, because this is just decorative, I do want to give it a little bit bigger hole in the bottom, just like that, just to make sure that it dries nice and evenly, and I'll finish those lines as we go along, okay? If I wanted to make a bird, so if I want to make that into a bird, like this guy, I need to add a little bowl for the head and a little for the tail. So that's super easy. You're going to take some clay, make a ball, make yourself another little pinch pot. Okay. And then if you want, right away you can pinch up that beak. And then you're going to stick it on there. This is a tiny head for that giant bird. Okay? So, if I just attach that on there, what's the problem? There's a pocket of air inside there that's going to be trapped. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'll put my little head on. I'll use my pin tool to draw where it's going on. Look at the thickness of my clay. And cut open a little hole, and then I'll score and attach that on. Okay, now if I don't like the way that's joined, you can make a little coil and you can set that around your joint and smooth that right in so that it goes seamlessly from your little pot straight to the body. So there's a little coil there, smoothed in with a little bit of Darvon water. Okay, the tail, you just roll it out with your rolling pin a little bit, cut a whatever shape you want, stick it on. You can add little wings if you want. You can add little details. I would add these little eyeballs. You do have to score just a little bit, but just make sure that there's some Darvon water underneath, and it should stick on there pretty good. Okay, so that's a bird and a pumpkin / gourd or whatever you want. You can, just like you would cut the top off of a pumpkin, just make sure that when you cut the top off the pumpkin, your knife is at a 45-degree angle. Okay, so the same way you would, it's hard to see here, okay, right here, 45-degree angle, so that there's a bit of an angle going in that makes a ledge for that to sit on. If you cut straight down, the lid will fall right in, right? You guys have all made pumpkins before at Halloween, right? Yeah, you got to cut at a 45-degree angle. If you're not sure what I mean, come and have a look at one of mine or ask me a question. Okay? Good? Okay, let's get to work.
Is this good? Like a good size?
Yeah, it is good size.